Hey there, it's BoardGameDave. If you're into board games at all, you probably don't get to play them as much as you'd like. People are busy or they live far away, and not everybody knows the same games, so then someone's got to teach the game, and there's setting up the game and putting the game away. It can be a lot of work to get people together to play a game sometimes. And at the beginning of the pandemic, of course, a lot of people were looking for ways to play board games online, either with friends or just people around the world. And that's where BoardGameArena comes into play. In my opinion, BoardGameArena is the best place to play board games online, and today I'll be sharing with you my top 10 most played games that I've played on BoardGameArena so far. Let's check it out. Number 10, Caylus. Caylus is pretty much the granddaddy of all worker placement games. It's long, it's medium to heavyweight complexity wise, and it can be very, very mean. If you're a new player especially, it's very easy to get your butt totally kicked in this game. Caylus 1303 is the revised, shorter, maybe less mean version of the game that just came out 2 years ago, but the original Caylus is definitely still worth checking out. Number 9 is For Sale. I've got For Sale right here. It's a property bidding and auction game for 3 to 6 players in which you'll be buying properties for cheap and then trying to sell them for a profit. This is a game that gets better and better with more players, and the last time I played it in person, we were laughing and having such a wonderful time, but it plays really well online as well. Number 8 is 7 Wonders. It's a game I've got right there. 7 Wonders is the rare kind of game that plays just as quickly with 7 players as it does with 3 players because it's a card drafting game. If you've played games like Sushi Go, you know how this works. Somebody passes you a hand of cards, you keep one and pass the rest on. And then you get another hand of cards, you keep one and pass the rest on. And in this way, you're going to be building up in this game a civilization with military and science and resource production and commerce. And by the end of the game, you're going to have all these different colored cards out that score you points in different ways. In the end, the best civilization wins. And 7 Wonders plays just as well online as it does in real life. All right, now I've got a 3-way tie for my next most played game, but I'll start with 7 Wonders Duel since we just talked about 7 Wonders. This game borrows many of the core concepts from 7 Wonders, but boils it down into a really tight, really engaging 2-player experience. What's really neat about 7 Wonders Duel is that there's more than just one way to win. 2 out of 3 of those win conditions ends the game immediately, either by moving your military token to the end of the track or by researching 6 different sciences. If neither of those things happens, you play through to the end of age 3 and then the player with the most points wins. This is such a brilliantly designed little game, and it was the highest rated game I owned for a long time until I bought the Castles of Burgundy, but you should definitely check this out. If you don't know this game already, try it on BoardGameArena. It's really, really good. Another game tied for 5th place is Kingdomino. I don't own this game, but I've had a chance to play the physical version, both the normal sized and the giant sized one, and Kingdomino is this really simple, very satisfying game where you're taking these tiles and adding them to your kingdom, and the more tiles you have times the multiplier symbols that you have, these crowns, the more points you get, and you're drafting these tiles from a supply in the middle of the board, so you're kind of vying with everybody else and trying to make sure this person doesn't get these tiles that they need while also trying to get the ones that work best in your board. Really simple game, but very, very fun. Worth trying out if you haven't played this game before. And my third game with 17 plays is Incan Gold. I actually just did a whole video review of this game, so you can watch that here, or I'll have a link at the end of the video too. Number 4 is a game called Abyss, designed by Bruno Cathala. He also co-designed 7 Wonders Duel, by the way. Abyss is a gorgeous game set in this underwater fantasy setting in which you're going to be acquiring allies, recruiting lords, controlling locations, and defeating sea monsters, all in the name of being crowned King of Abyss. This game is an absolute masterclass in tight game design, and all of the mechanics that are running behind the scenes are really, really cleverly integrated. It's actually been a while since I've played this game, but just talking about it really makes me want to get back into it. Abyss is a truly brilliant game. My third most played game on BoardGameArena is Stone Age, another OG worker placement game published in 2008. I'll definitely do a full video review of Stone Age sometime in the near future. This was one of the first modern board games that I got, and it totally opened my mind up to the world of possibilities that's out there in modern board games. As somebody who grew up playing a lot of Age of Empires 1 on the family PC, this game really struck a chord with me, and I still love Stone Age to this day. My second most played game on BoardGameArena is Potion Explosion. This is one of the few games where I bought the physical version of the game after learning and playing the game online first. Potion Explosion is a really fun game where you're trying to complete potions by pulling marbles from the feeder. You're going to pull one marble out, and then if two of the same color marble clack into each other, you get to take those marbles. And then if more marbles of the same color, again, clack into each other, you get to take those marbles as well. So eventually you're gonna get all these different colored marbles and use them to fill in your potions, each of which then gives you a special ability that lets you get more marbles and complete more potions. It's very, very fun, and the person with the most points, usually the person with the most potions at the end of the game, wins. And finally, we come to my most played game on Board Game Arena, Lost Cities by Reiner Knizia. I'm not gonna tell you how many times I've played this game on Board Game Arena because honestly, I was shocked and a little embarrassed at how many times I've played this game on BGA, but I definitely got hooked on this game. Lost Cities is a very simple card game for 2 players in which you'll be playing cards of 5 different colors to gain points. However, each venture comes with its own risk because the first time you play a card of a certain color, you set yourself back 20 points and then you're trying to work back up to positive from there. There's also multiplier cards that you can play that will multiply the risk but also potentially multiply the reward if you get a lot of cards in that color. I think the only reason I have so many logged plays of this game is because the game is so short, so you can play Lost Cities for an hour and have played about 12 games. But anyway, those are my top 10 most played games on Board Game Arena, and like I said, these are all games that you can check out and start playing today. If you are familiar with Board Game Arena, let me know which game is your favorite to play on there in the comments down below. Let me also share some honorable mentions. There are so many good games on Board Game Arena, and obviously not all of them made the top 10 list. So here's some other games that you can check out too. Patchwork is a lovely little game for 2 players designed by Uwe Rosenberg. In this game, players will be going around a circle, collecting these little polyomino Tetris style shapes and putting them in their personal patchwork board. Over the course of the game, you'll be earning buttons and then spending buttons to get more tiles, and also spending the other resource in this game, which is time. As players use up their time, they'll be getting closer to the end of the time board, and then at the end of the game, you'll compare your 2 boards and see who's got the most buttons and who filled in the most spaces on their personal patchwork board. Nidavellir is a very hyped game that's getting a lot of attention right now, and you can find that on Board Game Arena too. Nidavellir is primarily a set collection game, but it also has this really neat auction drafting mechanism where you're going to different taverns and setting a blind bid to see if you can recruit the different dwarves that you need in your tableau. Azul is an extremely popular abstract family game in which you're drafting tiles and putting them on your board to score points. I'll be talking about and maybe even playing a lot of Azul and its expansions on this channel sometime in the near future, so make sure you're subscribed to this channel if you're an Azul fan. There's also Welcome To, which is a very popular flip and write game in which you're in charge of planning this residential neighborhood and putting houses in a certain order and filling pools and parks and things like that. It's very abstract, but it's a really fun game that plays up to like 100 players at a time or something crazy like that. And last but not least, my final honorable mention goes to Splendor, which I've only played on BGA 2 times, but it's pretty new to the website. You may already know that I've played Splendor many times in person. I just did a Splendor review. You can watch that right up there. And that's it. Those are just a fraction of the games that are on Board Game Arena, and I promise you there is a game on there for every kind of gamer. There are so many games on there that are really easy to learn, and the games are automated, which means that the website is taking care of the bookkeeping and the shuffling and all that stuff, so you can focus on just playing the game. I highly encourage you to check out boardgamearena.com if you haven't already. In the meantime, have a wonderful week, take care, and happy gaming. Bye. Caylus is pretty much the granddaddy of all worker play. Everybody okay in there? Number 9. Is that right? Golly.